Welcome, Eternals, medieval Syrians, and modern-day Sheffielders in for a surprise to the 341st episode of An Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 12th of February 2020, and featuring Can You Hear Me? Written by Charlene James and Chris Chibnall, and starring Jodie Whittaker as a doctor, Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, and Mandip Gill as Yasmin Khan. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Good evening, everyone.
Mad Matt Winchell.
I'm just drinking water, pan off me.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Happy birthday, Mr. Lincoln.
And Thomas Fireheart.
Papa, can you hear me? I was sitting on that for a fucking week, I swear to God.
My vote for the opening bump, but Welcome to My Nightmare worked just as well, in my opinion. So how's the week been to everybody?
Not too bad. Finally got my sleeping habits to something reasonable.
Yay, sleeping.
I've been approaching a lot of school-related deadlines, so it's been kind of a crunch week for me.
Visited my extended family this weekend for my birthday stuff. Went to Pizza Ranch for the first time. It was okay. Busy hour though, so there was like half the time we were there was barely any pizza on the buffet. Otherwise, not bad trip. Visited the rental store before they completely went out of business. They're selling older DVDs for 25 cents. Got a Richard Pryor DVD. Otherwise, I got for my birthday presents, I got another Doctor Who mug. So that's two gift giving events this in the last 2 months. And I got 2 t-shirts. One of them was a wizard cat, of all things. It's like chest, like the shoulders up of a cat, wearing the blue with white starred wizard hat from Fantasia. And it had a broom and I think a couple other things on it. And then the other shirt was the Animaniacs.
Yeah, me, I didn't have much of a week. I unfortunately, coming out of the grocery store over the weekend, got parked in and had that thing where you have to squeeze yourself like a cat to get into the car.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of realigned some of my vertebrae, and not in a good way.
Oh.
Fun.
Is there a thing you can do for that?
Yeah, rest. Rest some muscle cream to relax the muscles around it so it can shift back, and pain relievers. Other than that, I'd have to spend money to go to a chiropractor, and my insurance doesn't cover that. So I'm just
do what you gotta do, yeah.
Fortunately, it's almost back to normal now. But still, I hate people that park just that far too close to you in a freaking parking stall.
It happens way too often in Life City. Then you wonder why people just take up 2 parking spots because they're just like, I'm sick of this shit.
I need the extra spot just to come out. One of the reasons I need to get a handicap sticker, just so that I don't need to deal with that.
Right?
Other than that, not much. Watch the latest episode of Picard. Still interesting. Not going to do a geek talk on it because I did it last week.
I would wait a couple more episodes before you continue it again. Maybe wait until the season finale too.
I'll probably talk about it briefly mid-season, and then I'll do the finale. But no, I mean other than that thing, just watched it. Still good. Continuing watching. That's all that's going on with me. I've been wanting to, watch some old movies and stuff. Aaron and I got in a really weird conversation for us last night trying to get to sleep, where we started talking about sitcoms we used to watch when we were younger. And I'm not a sitcom person these days.
No, definitely not these days.
But, in the 90s and the 80s, I watched a lot of them. So we were just kind of discussing what we watched. Oh,
Boy
man.
Meets
I
World
forgot
was
to
a
bring up-
surprisingly interesting one.
Which one? I never watched that one.
Boy Meets World. It was actually really good. It was relatively well written. For some reason, it kept me interested as well as my sister and my mother.
I think I watched a couple episodes and nothing really hooked me.
It depends upon when you probably started. I started like their last
Mhm.
year of high school, which was probably a couple seasons into it, I believe, and then I watched it all the way through the end of college for that storyline. And that was basically where the show ended. Was the main characters were basically finishing up college. I've heard that they've tried to bring it back once, if not twice, and neither of them is successful. So, oops.
Yeah, I do know there was a sequel show called Girl Meets World.
Yeah, that was supposed to be their
more
daughter
recently.
Yeah.
of the main characters. And it's like, oof.
Yeah, it's come with that. Let's bring back old sitcoms, which is I think where we got in this conversation last night.
Probably.
Is we were talking about the Connors and Fuller House and just how
Everyone's
they were,
trying to bring back the sitcoms, and every single one of them is terrible when they try it.
except the Connors.
The Connors.
Connors is endlessly successful. It's the continuation of Roseanne,
Oh.
only without
Ah.
Roseanne.
Oh, it was after she
Oh,
died.
okay. So they
Yeah,
did.
they brought back-
continued the show
they-
without
they-
her then.
Yeah, they brought back Roseanne like I think 2018 after it had been off the air
Something like
since
that.
like 2000.
And then she did the racism.
And then she did the racist comment on an Obama, one of the members of Obama's cabinet, and they fired her. And
Yeah,
then
as much as
gave
she
it up.
tries to swear up and down that it wasn't what it was intended to be, it's like you did an awful job making sure of that. It looked pretty awful.
Hmm. And so then she gave up her license rights on it so that NBC could make the Connors with everybody but her. I think this stemmed from the conversation of that one of the people I had read, one of the people that had joined the Connors was oh God, what is her name? Sorry, my brain just died. Katie Seagal, which I found interesting because back in the 90s when Roseanne was on the air, there were two sitcoms about dysfunctional families on television. You had Roseanne, ignoring The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
You had Roseanne and you had Married with Children. The difference between the two was at the core of it, the Connors loved each other. And I can't remember the name of the family in Married with Children, but at the core of it, they all hated each other. The
Bundys.
Bundys,
The
yeah,
Bundys,
the Bundys
yeah.
hated each other. So I find it funny that now that Married with Children is dead and buried, and Roseanne is making a comeback, they cribbed Katie Seagal, who was the wife on Married with Children, to be on their continuation.
Did she take Roseanne's place?
That's her character has been accused of it. She is not. She is a old friend of Dan's, but their relationship is platonic, not romantic.
Or at least that's what they're laying on so far.
But I think
until there's a new writer or something.
I think it was Roseanne's sister that accused her of over Christmas of trying to take Roseanne's place. So I was just reading that, and it's like, wait a minute, who's this character and who's playing her? Katie Seagal? Okay, that's just ironic.
Yeah, that's one of those funny things with Katie Seagal when she, like, it was funny realizing, oh yeah, suddenly that one joke on an episode of Futurama makes sense.
Yep. That one episode of Futurama where they're basically spoofing Married with Children. Yep, I remember that one. And the fact that they could only get Johnny Galecki to come back to the final season of Roseanne before it became the Connors for like 2 episodes because that's all they could afford him in.
Yeah.
Because he's like the second highest paid TV actor these days. Right after his Big Bang Theory co-star Jim Parsons.
Yeah.
So the two of them can basically write their own ticket these days.
Hmm.
Let's see. He was earning the last season of The Big Bang Theory. He was earning almost $1 million per episode.
Damn.
Yeah, and I think Parsons was.
Mm.
Now, when you can afford charging them over $900,000 per episode, you know you've made it big in TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that what a big deal it was when it was announced Jerry Seinfeld was making $1 million an episode back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, I think he partially wrote that show, though, didn't he? So he
Well,
did more
it
than
was
acting, I
his
assumed.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a multiple role check.
Mm-hmm.
But
Basically.
because of that, they could only hire him to basically. They had to have his character and Darlene, who was Sarah Gilbert's character, have a divorce so that they could write him out. Because, yeah, too much money.
Yeah. Anyway, we went on quite a tangent there.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. But, yeah, we can go on to tonight's show, which has news and birthdays. Not a lot of birthdays.
Yeah,
We've got some
minuscule.
geek talk. No, I do not have a rant this week.
Don't have a rant, and we don't have a review of Shame.
I thought we did. Or did you not?
Bill canceled.
I could not do a review of Shame, partially because of technology, partially for other reasons.
Explain to me after the podcast.
Okay.
We have episode summary. I was going to have a historical fact check, but there's not a lot of Aleppo to actually
Check.
base a historical fact
Yeah.
check on.
Yeah.
So
You're there for like 10 minutes and half of it is an alien attack.
well, and the fact that the majority of it happens in a fictional hospital, so you can't really tell anything from a place that's completely fictional,
Mm-hmm.
just based in a historical city. You know,
That's it.
now
They don't
next
even really
week-
show the city.
Next week we'll definitely be doing a fact check.
yes, next week we will definitely have a historical fact check. I'm gonna have to work my butt off on that one. And then, of course, we'll have our episode review, which I believe Matt's doing the summary.
Okay.
And then our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's get into the news. Or starting with birthdays, and we've got two of them. 2 days ago, on the 10th of February, was the birthday of Peter Purvis, who played Stephen Taylor from 1965 to 66. He turned 81. And is still a very active person in the Doctor Who community.
Despite how old he is, how old is he getting to be? He was 20 in the 60s, wasn't he?
Yeah, like I said, he's just turned 81.
Yeah, 81. Doing quite well for himself.
And then today, the 12th of February, sees the birthday of Nabil Shaban, who played Syl,
Also
the
another man that
wonderful
won't
little
stop.
worm alien, from 1985 to 86, and he turned 67.
Syl is one that I could almost see returning in the modern day if they would let the
I would
Daleks and the
love
Master
to see
take a
Syl
short
back.
nap.
I would love to
love-
have Syl back, yes. Just for
Syl was-
like an episode or two here and there.
Syl was the highlight of probably considered to be one of the worst eras of Doctor Who. He was like the one shining thing.
He was probably the best villain at the time, yes.
His story from the canceled season with the Ice Warriors that Big Finish ended up adapting, that was pretty good too.
Nice. I always liked Syl. I liked the voice modulation he had, and just the way he would wiggle would just,
And the actor's probably more than willing to do it if they'd ever ask him.
I'm not. I know he has some physical issues now, so that might stop him.
He occasionally does, but he's also still doing like stage acting and stuff too occasionally. So,
Because
whatever he's up for.
I thought he had some kind of physical problem now.
I thought he had one for temporarily for a little bit. I don't know if it's still a continuing thing or not.
Oh yeah, he has brittle bone disease.
Oh, okay. So he has to be careful what he does.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
He can still get around though, but yeah.
So yeah, that's but he would have had that back when he was doing the role back in
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have
Hmm.
assumed that that would have been something that he had for a long time at this rate.
Yeah.
he has actually been twice in Big Finish.
Hmm.
Yeah, he gets around.
Mm-hmm.
He has
But
to slow down once in a while, but nothing's stopping him completely though.
yeah, and he's always been written by the same person, Philip Martin. So that would be interesting. I don't know, is he still alive?
That might be the
Yeah, but he's
question.
like 81 to 82. So I think if they got to use Syl, they have to get permission from Philip Martin. So
That's a possibility.
anyway,
Hmm.
we
Anyway.
kind of went on another tangent there.
Yep, moving on.
So happy birthday, Peter and Nabil. And let's move on to our episode news.
Okay, overnight figures for Can You Hear Me are in, and it was watched by a total of 3.81 million viewers, a drop of about 0.16 million from last week. This equates to 18.8% of the total viewing audience, was the 7th most popular show on British TV Sunday, and was the 49th most watched overnight for the week. Doctor Who was easily beaten by its direct ITV opposition, Dancing on Ice, which had 4.84 million viewers. The number one show that day was Call the Midwife, with 6.39 million viewers. Country File was the lead in to Doctor Who and had 5.24 million. Pale Horse, an Agatha Christie mystery, had 4.81 million watching. BBC's 10 p.m. news had 5.48 million watching due to Storm Ciara. We should have the final figures for this episode next week.
You know, it's a little disconcerting to hear the ratings dropping down below 20% of the viewing audience.
Yeah, it's also concerning the fact that if the numbers prove to continue the pattern, we're officially going to hit under the 5 million mark now
Yeah,
for consolidated.
and that's the lowest that it's been since Trial of a Time Lord.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a little worrying that.
Yeah, that's a very bad downward trend.
Yeah. Although I will notice there seems to be, even though it's still like getting lower, from what I can recall, it was like what last week it was a 0.24 million drop off. This week it's a 0.16, so it's less of a drop off,
It's less of a
seemingly.
It's hard to tell
possibly.
because remember the Praxius was coming off of the Jadoon episode, which did have the
did have
John
some bonus
Barrowman.
momentum, yeah.
And the fact that they broke the they let it leak that John Barrowman was going to read on actually caused that one to jump. So,
and I guess either way, as we said before, it would be surprising if if it ended on a low, given that we've got a Cyberman two-parter at the end, or at least like one of the episodes will center around the Cyberman anyway, blatantly.
Crossing our fingers, yeah.
That in its own right will probably have somewhat of a jump.
The only one that challenges Daleks for views is Cyberman.
Okay, so ignoring the jump from Fugitive, Praxius did make a jump from Nikola Tesla by about 0.02 million. So that's including the fact that Jadoon jumped way the hell up and then started dropping again. So
To me, it's kind of sad though for me, because the only real stumbling block this entire season, as far as I can tell, at least so far, we still have some episodes left, But so far, I feel like the only stumbling block has been Orphan 55. So
Well,
it's
there's Orphan
like,
55,
it
but
kinda
people are
s-
also really nervous of what went on with Dradoon.
Yeah, but that's not gonna. That will cause
That we
ratings
will
to
probably
come
won't know
down,
anything
drop
for sure until the end of the season. Yeah.
Mm.
I
My
can't
thing-
imagine. I can't imagine people saying, "I'm not going to watch the show because there's a mystery that we don't know what's gonna." If anything, usually you watch it
I
to figure
think
out what
that
the
there's
solution is going to
supposedly
be.
leaks about what the mystery is going to be, and people didn't like it.
Mm. Yeah, I've heard that there's leaks
I
about
believe the
something that
major
might
assumption
be
going
the
on with that.
case,
So it's like, oh boy.
Well,
It also
I
could
still want to see
possibly.
to make sure. I don't want to jump
Yeah.
any fences on that before
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, I think it's also a case of people just possibly cluing into, oh, well, after Fugitive, the next couple episodes are probably going to be filler, so I'll just
That's a possibility too.
drop off it for a while until the finale. Because
Yeah,
it doesn't help that
if the-
Doctor Who's.
Go ahead.
It doesn't help that Doctor Who has been releasing trailers 2 more episodes until the explosive finale, and it's like, fucking hell, what are you doing?
well,
Like, just keep reminding people about the finale. You're just gonna make them hold off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I,
this
I would have
downward-
thought they learned from Series 6 that the plot, filler, plot, filler is a stupid idea.
But
Well,
tell
new
the damn
showrunner,
story.
he hasn't learned his lesson yet.
this downward slide in ratings has been occurring since Series 11, and some of it I have to wonder if it's not the time slot.
That's what I've been thinking, is the time slot has a lot to do with it.
I mean, if you think about it,
Yeah.
Sunday night here in the United States is called the death slot.
Mm.
It's where networks send shows to die.
So that's Friday
With-
night.
The exception being The Simpsons.
The exception
Mm.
being Fox's after football block. Yes.
Yeah. And it is one of those. Honestly, given how Series 10 went, that wouldn't actually surprise me then if that was the BBC deciding, well, we're going to move it to Sundays because screw it. And then it's coming back to bite the show on the ass because while they started with the highest ratings in forever because it was a new Doctor, this series didn't have
Actually, I believe, excluding the
that high
the New Year's Dalek invasion story, I believe with the this season started at just basically at the same amount of lost numbers that the last season ended up.
Oh yeah, I'm saying like series 11 between series 10 and 11, like 11 was like a massive jump up and then went down, and then like I forget honestly what what it was between like the last episode of series 11 and this, but there
Okay.
probably wasn't a hell of a difference. But still.
So the last episode of Series 11, Ignoring Resolution,
Resolution.
had about 6.65 million, all things considered. The
Hmm.
first part of Series 12 had about 6.89, all things considered, and then dropped below down to just above 6.
So it's just about the same, and then it slowly started descending again.
Hmm.
It's a slight bump and then a huge drop,
Mm-hmm.
and then a more gradual drop.
Hmm.
Actually, a more gradual drop after Orphan 55.
Yeah.
Because it dropped from 6.07 million from Spyfall to 5.38 in Orphan 55. So that's like 750,000 right there.
Yeah.
And
Now
then
that
it
I think
started-
about it, what did its old competition used to be? Because its current competition is Dancing with the Ice. Was its old one like a singing show
Yeah,
or
one
something?
of the singing shows.
Yeah.
I think it's like Britain's Got Talent or
Yeah. That or
Well,
The Voice UK or
I was
something.
gonna say, wasn't it Singing with the Stars or something like that?
I can't remember.
I forget. Yeah.
I think one season it was Dancing with the Stars or something,
Yeah, I think it was one season was Dancing with the Stars for sure.
which also had John Barrowman.
I also believe
So
one
no
of those
matter
seasons
where,
had
it seems
cats.
Doctor Who's
So
fighting John Barrowman.
John
Yes.
Barrowman. Arrgh. All right. Moving on.
Yes.
Yep. Moving on to previous episodes. The final ratings from the Broadcasting Research Audience Board, or BARB, are in for Praxius. Officially, Praxius has 5.22 million viewers in the UK, a drop of 0.25 million, 5.09 million watched the episode on a TV set, 63,000 watched on their PC, 38,000 watched on a tablet device, and 30,000 watched on a smartphone. This makes this episode the 12th most watched show on the BBC that week and the 28th across all television. It had a 23.5% share of the total TV audience. It did beat out its opposition on ITV, Dancing on Ice, which totaled a flat 5.06 million viewers. The week's top show was ITV's White House Farm with 8.27 million watching. The AI for Praxeus was 78, 5 points down from last week, and 4 points under the Doctor Who average of 82.
I'm gonna have to lower that average pretty soon.
Yeah, this keeps going back down. Yikes. People are liking the show less and less too, according to that number.
Now, the one thing that we do have to say is when they were going up against Dancing with the Stars or whatever they were up against, Britain's Got Talent, whatever, they tended to lose on Saturday. They're at least tending to beat.
Dancing on Ice in the overall, but it's getting close now.
So more people watch Dancing on Ice on Sunday, and
but then more people watch it over the
Doctor
week.
Who.
Yeah. Over the week, more people watch Doctor Who and extended viewings.
Or it's people who don't know how to use TiVo watch Dancing on Ice, and people who do know how to use it watch Doctor Who.
Either or.
Except this is England. That's not TiVo. They're using BBC.
Yeah.
It's a generic term. Like I mean, I've gotten used to Xerox as a verb when half the machines are not made by Xerox.
Mostly they're Hewlett Packards, I think.
Yeah. I've gotten used to everybody calling my generic store brand tissues a Kleenex. So I'm going to call it a TiVo.
And your generic plastic bandages, Band-Aids?
Yeah.
And every Coke is a cola.
No.
Wait, no, it's the other way around.
I refuse to acknowledge that Southern bullshit.
Yep.
You mean every cola is a Coke?
Yeah, every cola is a Coke.
I refuse to acknowledge that deep South bullshit.
My mother does it, and she's been nowhere near the South. Except for very occasional sporadic.
Wisconsin's a little Southern. A little.
No.
A little?
a little Southern.
But the fact
I'm not talking geographically. I'm talking sociologically.
It really depends on where you are. Yes. Where Matt lives, everybody's neck's a little red. That's true. And where I come from, everybody's neck's a whole lot red. But here in Madison, that does not tend to be the case. And usually in urban Milwaukee, that's not the case. As well as certain other hot spots in the city, like Janesville and other more enlightened place. But when you're out in the country, things are a little socially backwards.
I could make a
That's
joke,
not
but I
the
won't.
first time I've heard the name Janesville, but every time I hear it, my thought is that it's named after Jane Cobb, and I know that's not the case, but that song still pops into my head.
The town they call Jane.
Yes.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, Janesville was one of the main automotive plants in the city or in the state, and that closed down, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s. So it's been kind of drifting since then. Because it used to be home to AMC. Not AMC. American Motors. The people that made my first car, the piece of junk that it was.
Anyway, hopefully not related. On to the next.
Yep. So now we move on to future episode news. And we have the blurb for the two-part finale, Ascension of the Cybermen, the Timeless Children. Or is it the blurb? It's just news. Sorry.
It's just an announcement.
I assumed it would be the blurb if it was happening by now. The BBC announced that the two-part Series 12 finale, where the Doctor faces the Cybermen, will also have 2 guest stars. And I apologize in advance for the butchering that I'm sure is about to happen. Ian McElhinney, known for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, The Fall, and Game of Thrones, and Steve Toussaint, known for Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, Judge Dredd, and Mutant Chronicles. Ian McElhinney said this about filming Doctor Who: I very much enjoyed my time on Doctor Who. The team were a delight to work with, and everyone was very supportive and welcoming. All in all, it was a blast.
So
I
your
don't know-
basic boilerplate.
I don't know if there was any nudge or wink about the blasting. Toussaint had this to add: it was an honor to play a part in the giant of British and world TV that is Doctor Who. What's not to like? I had such a great time working with Jodie and the fam. Another one off the bucket list.
Well, then again, Toussaint really hasn't had much to do in there since like 2000. But he's been mostly a TV guest star actor.
I have one question, honestly, right here.
Hmm.
When did Christopher Lee regenerate?
What?
The picture at the top of this article. When did Christopher Lee regenerate?
I don't know if you see him down in the pictures below, he's
Mm.
Oh,
looks
these
like
the
he's
pictures
playing.
I can't click on again. Fantastic. 10
Yeah.
out of 10.
Yeah, I can't either. But he looks vaguely like he's a shepherd or something, or a missionary.
Hmm. I gotta admit, I had to look up Ian, and then was immediately like, "Oh, Sebastian Selmy, that guy."
Mhm.
He was like in maybe the first couple of seasons, and then gets killed off. I forget exactly when.
I had to look up Steve Toussaint to make sure that they were talking about Judge Dredd and not Dredd. They were talking about Judge Dredd, the Sly Stallone version.
Ooh. Okay. Sorry.
You know, that movie's not bad on its own. It's just a bad Judge Dredd adaptation.
It's a bad adaptation. It's a quirky, silly little movie on its own.
Yes.
Mm.
All right. Well, anyway, that is our episode news. We do have some news from the world of video releases. A few weeks ago, Thomas mentioned in passing that the rest of us that getting certain seasons of classic Doctor Who in Australia was difficult at best. It looks like the BBC just might have been listening because they just announced that they're re-releasing the out-of-print season, starting with season 12.
Boom! Headshot.
This second edition of season 12 will be out on the 2nd of March and can be pre-ordered on Amazon. All content, extras, and artwork will remain the same as the first edition.
Yeah, we were poking around, I believe, last week or the week before, and going, "Oh, look, they're actually decent prices too."
Yeah, we don't have this problem in America, but apparently UK and I believe Australia gets the same releases as the UK.
Mm-hmm. I
Pretty
believe they're
much.
same region or more or less. Same
Yeah,
region.
they're same region codes and whatever. They're apparently was it season 12 that was out of print?
Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way: the only season that I can currently get that's out is one I already have anyway, and that's Trial of a Time Lord.
Okay.
Like that's literally the only one that's still in. And gee, I wonder why.
Did you manage to get a hold of season 12 or?
No, not yet.
So
keep
look
your eyes
forward
open
to
for
your
the 2nd of
reprinting.
March.
Yeah, like, and then and of course, which reminds me, when I get paid next week, I'm gonna have to pre-order season 26 so I don't fucking miss that.
Heck, if they have pre-orders for you, you might want to pre-order season 12 while you're at it too, since they're making reprints.
Yeah, it's being released on March 2nd. It can be pre-ordered now.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
You need some more Tom Baker in your life.
So, going from Tom Baker to backwards to oh god, brain died.
The faceless
Patrick
ones.
Troughton.
Patrick Troughton. Oh,
We
you're
now
done.
know more about the animated release of the Faceless Ones, due out next month. All 6 episodes are being animated in full color and high definition, and include the following exclusive special features: photographic reconstruction of the story, including surviving footage of episodes 1 and 3. Audio commentary on episodes 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Making of the animated series. Camera script PDFs. Surviving film fragments from the story. 5 Easter egg surprises, a coming soon Fury from the Deep trailer,
Ooh.
and the story will be released on DVD, Blu-ray, and Steelbook on the 16th of March and is now available to pre-order from Amazon.
I really am enjoying that they're regularly putting out some of the stuff in animated format now.
Yeah, I swear the BBC is
Mm.
now determined to get all of the classic episodes that are lost.
I think
Reconstructed.
they were just trying to struggle to find someone who could do it regularly for them.
Do it decently,
Mm.
do a decent job with enough speed that they could get them out on a regular basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And now
finally
it's quite-
found the perfect niche of people to do it, so they're
I
doing
think
it.
I think they've pieced together a team to do it now. I think they're doing it
Yeah.
in house. So
Yeah, I
they
think
know
it's
how
I
to-
think it's mostly in house. At least the last couple were.
So I think they've
Mm.
basically got a designated Doctor Who reconstruction team.
I bet you Babel Colors is
Mm.
part of that team right now too,
Might be.
because I know he's not really been put up a lot on YouTube lately. But he got
But-
close enough to the BBC that he actually got a thing from Moffat for his channel. So
We'll see.
yeah,
But yeah, it's going to be a bitch to redo some of them, like freaking Dalek
Yeah.
Master Plan.
oh yeah, that's gonna be a trial and a half.
Marco Polo.
That's another one.
Oh god, yeah.
Mm.
At least there, they've got a lot of full color pictures of the sets and stuff.
True, that's
Mhm.
gonna help them a lot with Marco
Yeah.
Polo at least.
So there, they
Mm.
can use that to get their animation coloring and everything just right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But there's not a lot of surviving stuff from Master Plan. So
Mm.
There's a few clips at best and maybe some stills.
But still,
of
that's
varying
probably why they're
quality.
not out yet, is because the fact that they know that's going to be a massive undertaking. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It might
Uh,
literally be that they have a small segment of the group working on that slowly over
Mm.
time, and then when it gets close enough, they're like, okay,
Mm.
everybody on it.
okay, so we go from the media releases to the world of Big Finish.
As we do.
All right. History repeats itself for Sylvester McCoy in this month's main range release. A junk mail robot invites the Doctor to attend the psychic circus. He knows he already defeated the gods of Ragnarok, who were controlling the psychic circus last time, but now he needs to wonder who is its master this time. Oh, who its master is this time. Doctor Who, the Psychic Circus, is available now as a collector's edition CD or on download at the Big Finish website from £12.99. The Fourth Doctor Adventure Series 9 also comes to a close in the second installment. 2 new adventures in E-Space with Romana, Lala Ward, Adric, Matthew Waterhouse, and K9, John Leeson. Episodes are The Planet of Witches by Alan Barnes, The Quest of the Engineer by Andrew Smith. The Fourth Doctor Adventures Series 9 Volume 2 is available now as Collector's Edition CD or download at the Big Finish website from £19.99.
All right.
Interesting.
So that's our Big Finish news. There's also rumor. Well, actually, Big Finish confirmed this, but that Michael Palin of Monty Python fame is joining the Torchwood cast in an upcoming release. But I'm not going to do an article on just the fact that, oh my God, Michael Palin's here.
The Big Finish Twitter account, depending on how much inside information their social media person has, was either teasing a possible future middle-aged Ace story or series, or just talking about that. It would be a fun idea. It's hard to tell with social media accounts whether it was an intern or whether it was an exec.
Yeah, well, they did announce the Michael Palin thing, but until we've got an episode to go with it, I'm not announcing it.
Mhm.
Right.
Mm.
All right, so that takes us out of our news and into our geek talk, in which we've got 3 movies seen by two people.
Yep. It's funny because I was almost gonna do this in the order I saw them, but I was like, well, even though Just Mercy came out in Australia this year instead of last year, it did still come out before Birds of Prey, so screw it. I'll talk about it first.
You mean Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
At this rate, everyone's
Um,
just calling it Birds of Prey
oh,
because
yeah,
it's both
yeah,
titles
yeah.
at this rate.
Yeah.
I'll just go off what Gail Simone's been calling, which is just bop.
Well, no, I just had to point out the irony of the fact that the ratings were so bad on it that they actually tried to change the name to say, "Hey, look, people, Harley Quinn."
Bop.
Even though like all of the posters and that have been focusing on Harley Quinn anyway, so
Anyway,
yeah.
Just Mercy.
Yeah.
Starting the timer.
Just Mercy. So, yeah, like this movie, I was expecting to be heavy, but like, holy shit. Because it's about this guy. Because it's based on a true story. For the life of me, I probably should have looked him up, but I can't remember character names very well. But it's generally like this guy who's like essentially kind of fresh out of law school, trying to help out these inmates in Alabama who are on death row, to try and get them out of there. So it's like specifically people who shouldn't be there but just are because it's Alabama. Most of which are black. You see at least a handful of white people in there as well, but it's focusing on him specifically trying to get this one man out of death row. And like fucking hell, I did not like completely break down and become a blubbering mess, but fucking hell, there was a few times where the tears started flowing because it was just like, oh god, this is fucking heavy. Like if it's the ending is cathartic and happy, but it's still just like, oh god, this is fucking insane. Like this is an emotional roller coaster of a movie. Although I will admit, I almost made jokes about it when giving my thoughts on it on like Facebook and that, of like, this is the movie where Killmonger and Captain Marvel decide to fight the legal system in Alabama. Because it's Michael B. Jordan and oh god, why am I blanking? Brie Larson. If I'm getting the names right. Like the primary characters.
Human Torch and Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Or again, as I said, Killmonger because he's the villain in Black Panther. But yeah, like it was a damn good movie. I'm glad that it actually got a release in Australia, because I swear to God, there are some movies that we either get them several months late or they just never show up. And it's so frustrating. So I was glad that I caught this, because this was probably the last day. Because I saw this yesterday. It was probably the last chance I was going to have to see it. And it was cheaper because it was that or A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And I was like, well, this one's cheaper because it's movie of the week, so fuck it. It was either that or pay almost $20 to see the other one. And I'm just like, no. So yeah, like I would definitely recommend that. Just Mercy. So moving on from that to Birds of Prey. I've said this on Facebook and I said this on Twitter. Whoever the hell made the decision to market this movie the way they did needs to be fucking fired, because this movie was way better than the trailers had me thinking it would be. Like, I've tried not to like judge movies based, and is it a masterpiece? No. Is it like, oh my god, this was fucking, was this like Guardians of the Galaxy level of, oh my god, this is really fun and amazing? No. But again, like my standards were set pretty low, and I came out of this like, that was actually really fun. So it was at least.
I thought the trailers were, at least the trailers that I've seen, I don't know if they were different internationally, were pretty good.
I saw the trailers and thought it was terrible.
Well, I remember at least the first like couple of trailers and that, and basically if you the trailers to me gave off the vibe that this would be Harley Quinn assembling a ragtag group of women to take on Black Mask. No, that's not the plot of the movie at all. They team up near the end, but that's it. There's like the movie is basically Harley's broken up with the Joker, made a very public display that she has, and now the immunity that she had from everyone for being the Joker's girl has completely gone. So now there's a price on her head. Not from the Joker, but just everyone going, "Oh, she's not with the Joker anymore. She's fair game now to like take her out." So that's basically what the movie's about. There are a few fourth wall breaky moments where I'm like, is that like a thing for Harley Quinn now? That's a bit weird. That's a bit.
There was a
It's
small amount of
become a
time where they.
thing, yeah.
It's just there was a small amount of time where they tried to push her to be more like Deadpool, but they've kind of gone back on that again.
But yeah, like the funny thing is the characters, like going into this, the two characters that I knew were probably going to piss me off, and thankfully didn't. That they still kind of bugged me, but they didn't bug me as much as I was thinking they were. So thank God, were Black Mask and Victor Zsasz, because Zsasz is a fucking, as far as my exposure to Zsasz is that he's basically a fucking Silence of the Lambs villain. And that, he's just a straight up fucking serial killer with a gimmick. And it always bugs me when he's subservient to other people. Like I've seen a bit of him in Gotham and I hate it. I've seen him, he was technically in Batman Begins. I hate it. I hate him in it. Because he's just like fucking hell. This should be like a villain where you're basically making the Batman equivalent of a Silence of the Lambs. And like that would so work for him. So it bugs me that we're never probably gonna get that. But for what it is, the guy does it pretty well. He is very unsettling and all this. And
in the comics, Zsasz does frequently work for Black Mask.
So that at least explains that. But there is kind of a, it's weird. I'm trying to think if there actually is, like, in hindsight, if there is. Well, actually, no. Yeah, there kind of is. There's kind of a homoerotic level to their relationship, which to me was just like, at first was almost like, oh great, queer villains, yay. But then I'm like, well, then again, the main character is Harley Quinn, who they, not through dialogue, but they make it very clear that she does swing both ways. So it's like, oh well, at the very least we've got a queer main character on top of the queer villains.
Yeah, Harley swung both ways multiple times.
Yeah.
As long as they introduce Ivy in movie 4.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, there is supposed to.
It's usually Harley and Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is supposed to be like it's probably in development hell at this point, but I feel like there's apparently working on a Gotham City Sirens movie at some point, or plan to at some point. So
I haven't heard any whispers of a Sirens. I have heard that they're planning to reboot
actually
the entire squad thing with James Gunn.
Yeah. And now that I think about that, might have been it. This might have originally supposed to have been Gotham City Sirens, and then they shelved that.
Probably.
Possibly after what happened with
parts of it
Suicide
for
Squad.
this.
Yeah. Yeah, I would, like, if you were even vaguely curious, I would say at least give this a chance, because my God, the marketing fucking sucked for this movie as far as I'm concerned. Like, I was just like, you know what? I gave Suicide Squad a shot, so I would feel like I have to at least give this a shot. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, I almost kind of wish that I'd seen this and Just Mercy in reverse order, because this would have been a nice come down.
We're almost on 6 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, but generally Birds of Prey would have been a nice come down from the emotional roller coaster that was Just Mercy. So seeing them the other order was a bit wonk. But yeah, generally if you like comic book movies and you want something that's fun, I would say give Birds of Prey a shot.
Yeah, I've been listening to some reviews. They've been middle of the road like you've been, and then they've ranged from there to reactions basically.
I'm willing to give it a shot if Aaron and I can find a time to see it.
I've been wanting to see it.
I feel like it's the death throes of what was left over of Man of Steel. I'm waiting for the rest of the DC
Mm.
stuff to pick up.
Yeah, mind you, it had a budget of 82 to 100 million. So far, it's only managed to bank 86. So
Yeah, technically you
Mm.
need to bank double that in order to make sure you've covered all costs, and that includes taxes from other countries and for the
Promotional
money for
costs.
advertisements.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
generally I would say this is I'd say this. I don't know if I'd say this is better than Aquaman or Shazam, but it's definitely better than Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman. So
well,
that's
Batman v
something.
Superman's a low bar.
It's better than the worst stuff. It's probably not as good as the best stuff, so it's at least fun.
all right. So moving on, Matt, you had a movie.
Yes, for the last one, that's gonna be me. For while I was mentioned before that I visited my extended family over the weekend, and we were actually legit paging through Netflix, going, "What do we want to watch? We want to watch something other than what my nephews were watching because they're not even paying attention." So as we're paging through, we happened upon Christopher Robin, and I went, "You know what? I haven't seen that yet." I'm like the biggest Winnie the Pooh fan in my family, and they're like, "You know what? It's time." Sure. So after we cranked the volume so we could hear it over my nephews, we did get to watch it. I thought this was a really nicely done movie. There's enough action to keep kids interested, at least in the last act, that they might be interested in watching it. There's enough going on for parents to get and understand in the beginning portions of it. And in between is just some of the most wonderful Winnie the Pooh type stuff that you could ask for. The first character to come back into Christopher Robin's life is Winnie the Pooh, and he does bring him back into the 100-Acre Wood, but then loses him. And from there, Eeyore is the best character from the Acre Wood ever. He just literally steals the show. Oh, great. I'm being kidnapped by a heffalump. Thanks for pretending to at least care. Literally, he Christopher Robin figures out that everyone was scared of a hemphalump, which actually ended up being a weather vane on Owl's house after Owl's house fell over. And he then pretends to. Everyone believes because he's aged so much since last time he visited that he's a heffalump or something. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, since I am the real Christopher Robin, you're right. I will go fight the hemphalump. He goes back out to the field, sets down Eeyore, and after a while of pretending to be fighting a hemphalump, Eeyore finally starts getting involved and starts making this weird sound. And they're like, "Did you hear that?" Inside the log that they're hiding in, trying to peek out to see what Christopher is doing. And then Christopher's like, "Yes, Eeyore, keep doing that." Well, it's nice to know I'm good at something. just just 100% of the time steals the show whenever Winnie the Pooh is not there to keep things going. So it was an absolute treat for me. I enjoyed it a lot. Highly recommend. Very nice family film. So that's basically summarizes it quite a bit. It's just a nice, sweet Winnie the Pooh based film that's almost kind of a pseudo continuation, if you will. If you don't mind the live action mixed with your animated stuffed animals.
All right, that pretty much it, Matt.
That's about it. I believe they brought back most of the voice actors that they could get back, and it definitely shows, especially Winnie.
Yeah, there's a few they can't.
Right.
Sadly,
Yeah.
there's a few that they can't, but definitely like Winnie the Pooh, they definitely got the TV show voice actor back, and he does a fantastic
Yeah.
job again.
Who
Yeah,
I
I'm
think I don't know if he voiced Tigger in the movie, but I'm pretty sure he also did Tigger on the show at one point.
Yeah,
Could
Tigger
be
sounded pretty
wrong.
solid.
Or might have been for movies.
I think the one actor voice I noticed was definitely changed was for sure Piglet, and I think there was a couple of others. Also Rabbit. I think got changed in voice.
Well, yeah, the guy that does Winnie the Pooh, by the way, is Jim Cummings. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still
I
Yeah,
was
around.
blanking on the name, but yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he's still very big in voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's also the voice of Tigger these days.
Yeah, you were just
Yeah.
mentioning that apparently he
Yeah.
might be the Tigger voice too.
Yeah.
The voice
If
of
not in
Eeyore is Peter
everything,
Cullen.
or...
Who is the voice that you are?
Peter Cullen,
Hmm.
Name sounds vaguely familiar.
Optimus Prime.
Oh!
Hmm.
Oh,
wow.
wow, okay. No wonder he steals the show. He's probably the next
I'm-
most popular
I'm not
voice
sure
actor.
that's still true.
I know he was once
No,
upon a
it's
time.
Brad Garrett now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Peter
Peter Cullen
Cullen-
was once upon
Yeah,
a
but for
time.
Christopher Robin, it was Brad Garrett.
Okay.
Okay.
You know Brad Garrett.
Yeah.
He was the big older brother in Everyone Loves Raymond.
Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Put that image in my brain. It's like, oh yeah, I instantly know who he is. Okay, yeah, he did a great job as Eeyore.
Yeah, he's done a lot of he's done a lot of animated voices recently.
Is that
Um,
honey? Is that Talkie Talkie? Yes, that's Eeyore, honey. Hello, Mr. Talkie Talkie. Hello.
Yeah, so he's fond of doing the voices.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was an unexpected treat. It was just like, oh yes, I'm enjoying this thoroughly. Thank you.
He's also ER in Ralph Breaks the Internet, by the way.
Okay.
Oh.
Just he's only in there for a cameo, but yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna assume, yeah.
Peter Cullen has done Winnie the Pooh, but I don't think he's done it since 2005.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless he's done it in 2017 in a Doc McStuffins apparently episode.
Ah. Well, that is Disney, so that would fit.
And then he was in it in My Friends Tigger and Pooh, which ended in 2010. So he's
Okay.
he's been the voice, but when they've done movies, it's usually been Brad Garrett.
All right.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, we've I think
Anyway,
we
yeah,
went over
we've said that
Mm.
enough. But yeah, that I just really enjoyed that film. Very nicely done. All right. So we've done that. So I guess we're on to review.
I think so,
Yep.
because there's
Yep.
no review of Shame.
Right.
Review shame.
Shame.
I'll geek talk.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're done to review, which I believe is me doing it now. So that means
Yep,
you need to get
let me-
stopwatch.
Let me reset the stopwatch because I was monitoring your review until we stopped and then restarted.
Stopped, restarted, and stopped again.
All right, tell me when you're ready.
Just a second. I bring that up, and I'm going to have that ready. All right. Give me a countdown.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so we start off the episode that the Doctor is bringing the companions back to Earth, modern time. I believe they were trying to be like a certain amount of time after when they left, just to make it seem like there was very little time in between, but it ended up being longer than expected. Happens. TARDIS. And so the companions quickly leave and go and try to meet up with friends and so forth and try and get updated with what's all going on. Graham has a weird moment with his friends where all of a sudden he's seeing images and overdeals a hand of cards, and suddenly has just a moment of confusion and has to correct from there. Ryan visits his best buddy that we saw playing basketball at the beginning of the season, and he's acting very peculiar. Apparently, he's out of sorts. He's not clean up like he used to, and so forth. And when Yaz gets home, her parents are no longer around, and she finds her sister taking care of herself, which is apparently unusual. Yaz and her sister decided to watch a movie. She falls asleep. Ryan decides to stay over because his buddy admits to seeing some weird stuff, and Ryan's just like, dude, it's not funny. I've seen some weird stuff. I'm going to stick with you for today. and is going to help out his friend. And Graham, I assume, just has an okay night. Although I think he went to bed somewhere. I assume back at his house or something. Long story short, everyone witnesses weird stuff. In particular, a man with tattoos on his with a bald head and a black flowing robe visits everybody. In particular, Ryan and Yaz's homes, and Ryan in particular sees the man's fingers decapitate themselves, and one of them sticks into the ear of his friend. Upon trying to confront the man, he leaves with the finger, I believe, and things just continue from there. Everyone contacts the doctor. The doctor gets them all together, trying to figure out what's going on. They do manage to... I forgot how they managed to get a signal. Actually, I think they left the finger behind. That's how they get a signal to chase after. No, they don't get the finger. As they're trying to check out the TARDIS, trying to figure out what's going on, and trying to get another signal, and that's when they get a signal into the past, which is when they visit the hospital. I forget, where is the hospital again?
Aleppo.
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 So they visit the hospital in Aleppo. Actually, first out of everything, and they find. Actually, they don't find anybody there. Like, everybody's disappeared except for no, everyone's disappeared except for one woman who is possibly a patient, or not sure. They don't really say it flat out, but it seems to be the case. And apparently a monster that she claims to be possibly from her nightmares. Combine this and a couple of other things going on, they finally managed to get a lead that brings them to. Actually, they use Graham's memories of seeing like a double planets almost grinding into each other, and use the TARDIS to try and teleport there as close as possible. They manage to land, but they don't see anything at first until they turn on the monitor and then find out that there's a object in between two planets that are nearly crashing into each other. The object apparently has the woman of Graham's memories that's being held prisoner, and they're trying to find a way to set her free. The man in the black robes appears yet again, kidnaps the companions, and goes about talking to the doctor just as the doctor is setting forth the plans to set the woman free from her prison. What she finds out, just as it's opening up, is that, in fact, this was the man in black's theme or idea the entire time, that she would stick her nose in too far and let the prisoner free. Turns out that they're both, I believe, immortals is what they call themselves. And they are essentially troublemakers, and the reason why the one immortal was in prison because she was the stronger of the two, and she fed off essentially people's nightmares. So the nightmares were all being sent to her via the guy's fingers to try and keep her alive and continue to feed her. Now, with the immortals both free, they decide to knock out the doctor using, again, the finger thing, and then set about Earth and decided to try and devour all the nightmares gradually over time, probably driving most people crazy. This seems to be at least the idea. The doctor manages to somehow work her way through her nightmare, gets the finger thing off of her, somehow miraculously gets her sonic screwdriver back, and then sets everybody else free. They help the woman from Aleppo to get over her fear of the monster from her dreams, and then use it to attack the immortals. And while the immortals are temporarily confused and baffled by being attacked by their own creation, the doctor uses the chance to imprison them all with the monster back in the original prison, and everyone is set free, and everything's sort of been back to normal. The end. And that ran a little bit long.
So yeah, you did it in about 5 minutes 25 seconds. And as far as I don't want to backslide a whole category, just wanted to bring Christopher Robin back one time. Do you realize that Peter Capaldi was Rabbit in that?
Oh, Peter
I
Capaldi was
forgot
Rabbit
about
in that.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did forget. Like, I knew that at one point, but I did forget.
Yeah, I had finally found the cast list after we'd moved on. I was like, Peter Capaldi is Rabbit? Seriously?
That's unusual, but okay. I'm fine with that.
Damn.
Did you recognize him at all? Or?
I can't say I did during the movie. I'm like, Rabbit's voice has definitely changed. I'm not sure who that is.
It might have been him trying to do a rabbit impression.
Essentially, it was him doing a rabbit impersonation, yeah.
Okay. And other Doctor Who alums, Sophie Okonedo, who played Liz 10 back in like Series 5. was Kanga.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
So there's a couple of Doctor Who alum in there.
All right.
Because I also find it a bit funny that we went from me talking about a movie that Ewan McGregor was in to a movie that Matt saw that Ewan McGregor was in.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also, the fact that Christopher Robin's boss at Luggages is Mark Gaddis.
Yeah.
Oh, was that Mark Gaddis?
Yes, it was.
They call him Woozle.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring up that there
Yeah,
were
he
some
does play a
Doctor Who
very good
alum in there.
Woozle.
But let's go forward to the episode again. And let's talk about what we liked about it. And actually, Matt, you are first.
Oh wow, I'm getting like triple billing here. All right, things I liked about this episode. There's a couple of things I actually genuinely liked about the episode. You know what? I liked the Immortals.
Choose one.
I'm going
There
with
are
the
many
Immortals.
people
The
after
Immortals
you.
were an interesting villain. We haven't had a monster, big time baddie like these in a while.
And I think the last time we
in a
did, they had a
long
vulture
time.
for a hat.
Quite possibly. Well, technically, no.
I know we had the Gods of Ragnarok, but
Yes, that would have been in the same.
They're in the same kind of booking, but they're not the same thing.
but I needed to stick the stuffed bird hat into a joke somewhere. So
So does that mean that Neville Longbottom's Gran is actually an immortal?
oh, God.
Okay.
That kind of reaction.
Okay, so Thomas, how about you?
I'm kind of gonna piggyback off of Matt's and just say that the specific reason I like them as villains is that they were specifically. It was sort of like how with the Nikola Tesla thing, where the villain had to do with the theme of the episode rather than the villain having nothing to do with it or anything. Like
They were
the
very
episodes
thematic,
basically, very thematic villains. They were about like it is basically about. Which funny because it didn't even entirely click to me until I watched a review where someone was like, "It's even like with how they're defeated, they're not like truly defeated. They're just locked away, which is like
locked away,
you never
like every bad
really
nightmare.
and like depression and that you never truly beat it. You just get like this is not a problem for now.
You just punt it down the hallway and try and do the best to bury it.
You'd think the immortals at this point would realize, oh my God, it's the Doctor. Don't fuck with this person. They defeated the Toymaker.
Oh yeah, they
Guardians
mentioned
are
like
dead, the
Toymaker and
Doctor
stuff
goes
too. That
on.
was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So they're knowledgeable, but they're still not knowledgeable enough to not to mess with the Doctor.
Yeah. Because, this is the person that keeps freaking Fenrir locked in a bottle in a church. This is not somebody you really want to get on your bad side.
Or they'll make you bound in irons made out of a dwarf star and toss you into a never-ending black hole.
It would be nice for some Eternal or something to be like, thank you for stopping Rassilon from ending time and becoming one of us, or something.
I'm not sure that would affect the Immortals.
I don't think that would affect the Immortals. That would the stuff of Rassilon would more affect the Time Lords than anyone.
Well, no. Well, I mean, the fact is that the Time Lords. It's been established that the Time Lords are on a much lower league than the Immortals.
Yeah.
Well, his goal was to essentially become the same league as them by ending time. So
yeah, but we don't know if that was actually true or if that was dogma in his own head. Because that sounded like religious fanaticism that was coming from him.
But he was the god, so you know what I mean. Like he founded Time Lordism, so I don't know. Unless he's bought into his own bullshit too much.
And thank you so much for not letting Davros be set up among us.
As Stavros has said repeatedly, that power would set me up amongst the gods. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would think
Well, of
there'd be more
course-
than just the White Guardian that would go, "Thank you for all your good work." By the way,
Davros is kind of twisted too. He kind of sees a cockroach as being the ultimate being in some ways. So
Mhm. He's like I said, I think Rassilon and Davros are actually kind of cut from the same cloth.
God, yeah, that I'm surprised. I would not be surprised if a comic crossover between the two of them happened.
Or the world's worst team up ever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, Tim, what did you like about the episode?
I really admired the art direction for this episode, like the brief moments of the ancient Syria, and then the design of the spaceship or space platform, whatever that was called. It had a very like Miami Vice 1980s vibe to it.
It did feel like something you'd see out of 80s Who.
I thought they did a really good job making it seem like strange and like inexplicable with the set, especially with all the fingers strung up everywhere.
And the harp string controls, that was a good touch.
actually, those kind of remind me of like the. Have you ever seen those lanterns where they would like warm up the oil and the oil kind of comes down like beads of water? Kind of a thing. It reminded me of those.
Yeah.
Oh god damn it, Cult Box. We go to news and they come up with 2 articles while we're podcasting.
Bloody hell! Not now.
Are they important ones? Or?
They would have been. Yeah, the new images for the haunting of Villa Diodati was in there. And the synopsis for Ascension of the Cybermen.
Those feel like important things to cover.
Well,
they
you know what?
weren't
The synopsis actually is one that can wait. Anyways.
No, it's just I'm like, god damn it! I was going in there because there was a picture I wanted to get from there. There was somebody who did the animation for that like dream sequence, and I was trying to find that news article, and I just noticed that they had new articles up, so that was pushed to a later page.
Anyway, that was Tim. When you're done,
I'm done.
Yeah. So that'd be you, Bill.
All right. So after Tim took my primary, so I got distracted by the Colt Box thing.
I just had to swear at it.
I'm going to say I do like the way they the human aspect of handling things. So especially the way Ryan dealt with his friend. It wasn't like blustery or like overblown, but it was like just understated enough, but also just active enough to be something that someone could actually emulate. Like seeing a situation, talking to their friend in a way that wasn't like, oh, I know best, but it was this is really a situation.
Yeah,
I think they handled that particularly well, especially when I heard it was when I heard the thing, it has a mental illness theme. I was like, oh, so Vincent Van Gogh again, and I was a little skeptical, but it was not like that.
see, yeah, this is everyone's kind of like constantly streaming on it's all about like mental illness. Mental illness was more really about nightmares, which I admit if they get too bad, it couldn't land in mental illness kind of stuff. But
depression was a sub theme.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a strong sub theme in my opinion. It was really only the Ryan and his friend arc. Because and technically the person in Aleppo.
Yeah.
But
and Yaz had her bit. We've been bitching about not enough Yaz, so it's definitely should recognize that she got something.
Was mine.
Oh well, I mean, that's why you were that's why you weren't mentioning it. Yes. It can still be yours. I just thought you were forgetting about it.
No, he hasn't had his turn yet, Bill.
Yeah, but he
Yeah,
was
what-
listing things. It wasn't a turn. It was between turns.
No, I was listing the mental the mental issues bit of that.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah,
That
And
wasn't. Yeah, that
Yaz
wasn't
is-
so much of it as much of it was the actual nightmare thing. Anyways,
that really wasn't a mental issues thing. That was more of teen angst thing. So
They implied it was suicide prevention. They didn't say
Eh.
it out loud, but there were a lot of hints.
that's not what I was getting out of it.
that was not what I
Mm.
got out of it, Bill. I'm not sure where you were getting that.
Yeah, that's a leap. That was literally running away from home.
They
That's
made a
angst.
lot of references to the fact that she didn't plan, to be making it to come back.
No, she was running away.
Yes.
This isn't little kid run away, get lost in the backyard, come back 3 hours later,
Mhm.
wah, wah, wah. She was running away permanently. It
Yeah.
probably would have ended in her death on a street somewhere.
If she wasn't able to take care of herself properly, yeah. But it wasn't suicide. At least that's not what her intention was.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah, what I liked is that we got some character development with Yaz.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Hmm.
wasn't just,
I have a
a
thing in my life.
a couple, like a minute and a half of stuff there. No, this was a little bit more of establishing her motivations in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So-
Apparently, she was depressed enough that at one point she was planning to run away from home.
She had it hard as a teenager. I think that was actually mentioned.
That was
Way
slightly
back in the
mentioned,
past.
I think, once or
Yes.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was mentioned in the Witchfinders, apparently, which I totally forgot about until I saw someone upload a clip of the mention of it, where in the Witchfinders she's talking to, and she's like, "I know what's making you sick, and like I've dealt with this as well." And the idea is she's essentially describing depression to this girl that they're talking to.
Mhm.
So it's
But-
far back as last series that they've
But-
hinted at this, at least.
But they were also talking about her having problems in school.
Mm.
And I think that came from like the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
I believe Rosa
Mhm.
mentioned some of it.
Yep. And I believe it came
Mm.
up when she first re-met Ryan
Yeah.
because they knew each other from school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But yeah, she was apparently horribly teased, probably racially motivated teased while in school.
Mm.
And apparently what they're showing now is it got so bad because her parents were apparently indifferent to it because still better than, home. And she pretty much just decided that any place was better than there and up and
Mhm.
left.
Actually, yeah, it might have been racially motivated bullying because that's probably what specifically came up in Rosa.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she decided anywhere's better than here and left. And it was her
Mhm.
sister that wound up calling the police. And then that whole scene is the police basically going, stick with it, things will get better.
Mm.
And then they made the bet. And I thought that was a really great background piece.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it arguably could. I mean, it's a bit. It could be a bit of a stretch, but I was like, oh, so maybe this is part of why she decided to become a cop.
That's my thought
Probably.
too.
I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that along those lines myself. That because this cop convinced her, she thought, you know what, maybe I can try for being an officer.
Right.
Mm.
Because she
Yeah,
went
'cause-
through obviously a hard time, and she could possibly do the same thing for someone else in the future, kind of deal.
Mhm.
Mm.
But yeah, I really like that we got to see some Yaz
Some
development.
finally some decent yes. It's been
All right.
such a struggle these 2 seasons for her.
Okay, what we disliked about the episode,
Oh boy.
Matt.
Do I go with the elephant in the room? Because I know Bill wants to go into that one. Actually, no, that's more of a scene. General thing. General thing. Actually, I'm gonna have to. No. Actually, no. Let me think. I liked the ideas and the stuff behind the Immortals. I feel the execution was a little bit flawed.
They seemed a little easy to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that they were a little too easily pushed over, and they weren't. I don't think they really wrote a good, solid end game for them.
No.
It was something I was kind of ultimately on the fence on with, because it's like, well, if we're doing this in one episode, then I guess fair enough. It was just kind of trapping them rather than truly defeating them. They'll probably come back at some point, but it is one
Possibility.
of those things of like, I saw someone say like, this probably, given the scale of the threat, it's like this probably should have been a two-parter, but
Probably should have
oh
been a
well.
two-parter finale. I mean,
Hmm.
dealing with the Immortals is a big freaking thing.
Or supposed to
Yeah.
be. Don't get me wrong. It felt like they were good and threatening in the beginning, and then it just kind of slowly petered out.
Yeah.
I feel like they could rectify it if they come back at some point.
If they
'Cause
come back in
they
like another
could.
season and become a big bad threat, yeah, I can see that
Yeah,
possibly working out.
'cause,
But this felt like a really kind of mediocre
I
introduction.
mean,
yeah.
there was only one story with Celestial Toymaker, but really the Doctor was at a disadvantage the entire serial.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
literally, it was up to the
Guardian
companions to hold their own.
got 2 whole story arcs
Mm.
dealing with those. The Eternals was actually only in one, but they weren't really a threat.
Hmm
Yeah.
They were
And
just
they
doing
were
their own
also
thing.
part of the Black Guardians whole thing as
Mhm.
well.
And if you think about other Eternal class things they fought, the ancient gods of Ragnarok were a thing, but they were only half materialized in this dimension. And we never really saw what the Doctor did to originally trick Fenrir into the bottle. Everything in that episode was keeping him in the bottle.
Mm.
So that was kind of all of those were kind of already pre-contained threats capable of escaping or big deals. So
Mm.
here it's like the threat, you let the threat out of the bottle, I'm just going to stuff him back in.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas, how about you? What did you dislike?
Lob the Pokeball at them.
That would work, Bill.
You don't underestimate them.
God, I feel like the closest nitpicky thing I had was basically taken by Matt, so I'm just gonna pass.
All right, Tim.
I feel the fact that this episode featured Syria was in and of itself was a commentary on something, but I just didn't think it was like rather awkward or like not clear about what it was. That just muddled up my understanding of this episode.
As far as I'm aware, it didn't have any particular commentary to it.
No.
It's just that Muslim medieval Muslims had a more enlightened view on hospitals than apparently
Most people at the time.
most of the Western society did. Because you know what?
Oh. Sorry, I think we're experiencing a hiccup. Yep. Just a moment. Sorry, trying to get us back on track. Don't know why this happens during this stream. Come on.
I'm going to say that it seems really.
How you guys doing? Welcome back to Jimmy with
that the Doctor's, the companions' friends were being targeted. But looking at it again, I think that's actually more implying that he was targeting many people across many time zones, and they just happened to find 3 of them.
Possibly.
That was the
So
basic thing. That's why there was also. That's why Syria came
that's
up.
why also Syria, yeah. So I guess I mean actually I will kind of say that I guess I do feel it was kind of a waste using Syria without like using it. That is kind of nitpicky, but
Mm.
I do feel like it could have gotten more time and could have been more meaningful just considering everything going on with it being released in 2020.
Or they could have also taken that
Mm.
away and spent more time trying to figure out another way to work
Mhm.
with the Immortals.
Yeah, or
Either
it's
way.
if it's I guess that I feel like if you're going to include those scenes of going back to Syria, include them enough to make it worth being in the episode, because otherwise it just feels like the Doctor feels like 3 companions is not enough. I remember having that thought during the episode. I'm like, is the Doctor just trying to get all the companions? Like every episode there's new ones. Which I think happened in some of Matt Smith's seasons as well. But
Yeah, and by the way, I am not aware of any fan reaction news thing. So, if you want to bring that up,
Mhm.
So,
Oh, if you're talking about the news article that Bill shared earlier, I'm kind of thinking that's going to be my mention for
Okay.
scenes.
It'll probably come up in scenes, yeah.
okay, I apparently missed this because I was busy.
I was having a bit of an issue, and I think just before Bill posted it is when I heard other people were having an issue. Didn't log up. God dang it. Sorry, we're having more technical issues. I don't know why my connection keeps wanting to bottom out when we're in the middle of this. We need to find a different time for this podcast. Dang it.
Good luck.
It's like every week lately. Every other week it feels like I keep having issues that keeps locking up in the middle of the stream.
Oh.
It's not like it's like affecting all my system. It's literally just affecting my online stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, I seem to be back for the moment. But yeah, it's something I would like to cover when we get there.
All right. So what I disliked about the serial, honest to God, the finger special effects were just kind of lame.
Yeah, it really depended.
That's fair.
I mean, if they had done it properly, it could have been creepy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But instead,
great. Come on. Swear if it's my antivirus, I'm gonna kill my.
Especially how they detached from the hands were my main issue.
Ah, okay.
Because it literally just kind of felt like you were just watching a cheap CGI effect, which is what you were.
Yeah.
A good CGI effect doesn't look like a CGI effect.
Yeah, it would have been more effective if they actually had like an actual prop that somehow dislocated the fingers.
Yeah, or something like that, or at least.
Well, actually, it just occurred to me they could have done a thing where instead of the fingers just popping off on their own, he specifically like grabs the finger and pulls it off, or something like that, so he could just be pulling off a prop finger.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to make a sound. You
like
just
that.
literally see him just slowly grab his finger, and then just with a slight jerk, you see him pop it off, and then slowly lets it go into the air. Oh, for hell's sake, it's every 5 seconds.
Matt?
Hello. Yes, I'm finally back again. I swear, it's like once every 5 minutes at this rate. All of a sudden tonight, it's really becoming annoying.
Ugh. Yeah, that didn't even get through mine. But yeah, I was about to announce favorite scene.
Okay, favorite scene. Trying to do this really quick before I get canned again, because for a reason my computer hates streaming again tonight. Actually, seems to be fine while I'm talking. Trying to think. Favorite scene. Um. Uh. There's good ones. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with Ryan talking with his friend about him seeing weird stuff, and Ryan trying to tell him it's okay, and kind of consoling him that his
Mm.
trips aren't all about fun and games. He sees weird stuff too.
The look at me. Do I look like I'm laughing at you?
Yeah.
Moment.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas.
In a similar vein, I'm going to go with Yaz tracking down the cop at the end.
Ah, nice.
And
Mhm.
yeah, in that
That
moment
was a
where
good
it's
one.
just like that almost made me cry. I don't know entirely why, but yeah, just like she gives her the 50p and it's just like you want it's just like it's like you're trying and I'm not gonna let you make me cry, but I came very close.
Not let it happen.
Yeah.
All right, Tim.
You're the one cutting onions.
I loved the animated sequence that showed the origin of the two immortals with the planets.
Yes,
That was-
that I figured that
Yeah.
would come up, which was why I was looking for
Mm.
that article.
Ah,
That was apparently done by illustrator Barty,
Hmm,
Huh.
That's the name I'll be on the lookout for.
and that particular bit also reminded me of like scenes I would get from Zelda games where they would do background stuff.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, that's kind of awesome.
also kind of
that-
vaguely remind me of like the opening to Populous 3, which also had a very similar feel to it overall.
But yeah, that's why I was looking for that article. Is the fact that they only revealed it like the day of the episode that she was allowed to reveal that she had done the animation for it. So that's why you can thank her for that scene.
All right.
All right, Bill.
okay, so actually, after we talked about it, I thought Thomas was going to end up taking this one. And this is the scene related to that article, so I will talk about them both at the same time. But the scene where the doctor and Graham talk, because the doctor is showing another very realistic response. She wants to be supportive. She doesn't know how. She basically says that she wants to be supportive, but has no idea something actually helpful to say. And she's going to go off and hope that she comes up with something, which is extremely relatable. And apparently, a large swath of the public decided that not knowing exactly what to say right away meant that the doctor doesn't give a shit. So that says something about how they treat people in their own lives, to the point that the BBC actually had to come out and apologize for it because so many people were sending in complaints.
I think you're taking that a little bit the wrong way, but go ahead.
So yeah, so that was the Radio Times had done an article on that, and a few other places were citing that.
My takeaway from that scene, Bill, if I will,
Okay.
is the doctor's the most capable person in the universe to give you at least some good idea of where to go if you're having that kind of issue.
Any other doctor in the past probably would have said, hey, let's go fuck off to another place so that we don't have to have this conversation.
Not even that. Like, there's been, I would argue that most of the doctors in the past would have said, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm here to talk if you need help.
No.
Or something along those lines.
To me, it's like this kind of like cancer in itself is such an alien concept to the Time Lords, I would assume, that it's just such a I can literally never experience this, so I have absolutely no idea what you're going through.
Although at the same time, the doctor's been around humans so often, you would think that the doctor would have at least some sort of grip of understanding.
I was trying to figure out if any other doctor would have been self-aware enough to say that they didn't know what to say. Most of the doctors would have made a bad joke. The 11th Doctor and probably a few others, maybe the 7th, would have been like, I don't like to talk about things like that. We're changing the subject. some of the doctors, like 10, would have been like, yeah, let's go off to this theme park planet to take your mind off of it so that I don't have to answer that
Or
comment.
let's go to a hospital in the 121st century and make sure it's gone forever.
Which I've
Yeah.
actually seen people on. I
I
was
agree with Randy's option on that one. Yeah.
that was a semi spoiler that I saw beforehand, which was basically someone saying that the doctor should basically, anytime they have a companion with a hint of something like cancer, should go off into the future and find a magic wand that gets rid of all cancer, which I personally think shows a misunderstanding of how cancer works. But I get it. It's science fantasy. It's not unthinkable for that to happen in Doctor Who. But I also don't think the doctor is going to take all of their companions, go off into the far future, inoculate them against every possible disease, etc.
Bill,
For a
And I'll
variety
also-
of reasons.
I have 2 words. Well, it's actually several words, but one of them is just repeated a lot. And that's new Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. We've already had it, Bill. People turning to
Oh.
stone.
Doctor-
We've cured it, Bill.
I know, but I'm saying the doctor doesn't bring all his companions to New Earth to get
The
inoculated.
doctor
against
doesn't need
every
to because that kind of
21st
stuff should
century
probably already
disease.
be in the TARDIS.
Hmm.
It's old tech to the doctor at this point.
Yeah, as far
whatever
as
happened to the TARDIS having a sick bay?
Yeah. What happened to that? Did they
it
get
get
rid of it for the
jettisoned?
jacuzzi? Because I heard that mentioned today.
They got rid of it when they installed the pool in the library.
God damn it, Tim!
I will say, as far as the scene goes, something that I picked up on this time that I probably didn't notice the first time was, if you pay attention to Jodie during that scene, it looks to me like she is specifically racking her brain. Oh God, what am I gonna what am I gonna say when he's finished talking? It looks
exactly
like
how
she's
people
intently
would
looking.
be. Yeah.
Remember that this incarnation of the Doctor is particularly socially awkward.
Yeah, she literally says,
well-
I'm a bit socially awkward."
The 11th was a socially awkward one too, but that didn't get in the way of him doing things.
Yeah, but it's as opposed to like Tennant, who was exceptionally socially savvy.
The 11th Doctor also snapped at people for reminding him that humans age and die, and refused to even let that be part of a conversation for very long.
And that's one of my many issues with the 11th, but
So I consider this growth from that. This is acknowledging
no,
things, but still not.
I still think this is another major flaw.
I sort of see this as like a, not growth, but like a step beyond the 12th's antisocial behavior.
The thing is, he grew out of most of that antisocial behavior.
Yeah, after the first season, he kind of grew out of that already. He was literally going into the past and playing rock shows for people, for his own amusement. On a tank.
Mind you, he thought he was going to die, but it's still, something that happens. Is some doctors don't have the words.
It still really felt to me.
And honestly, I don't really know what the doctor could have said that wouldn't just sounded like some sound bite that would have just been like, this old chestnut. So it was like, I kind of prefer the doctor just not.
I don't know. I expect more of the doctor in any version.
Though of course I will argue if it was Tenet, they would have just said, "I'm sorry," and that's it.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The thing is, it would have been even worse. Tennant waving the sonic screwdriver at Graham and then going, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry."
Oof.
I still think 10 would have been like, yeah, let's go to a theme park.
No.
No, he was a little more
No.
sensible than that.
No,
Mm.
that's usually Ten's response to
Mm.
somebody talking about Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, let's avoid
I mean,
Gallifrey. Gallifrey's a thing I don't like.
I mean, we generally do have, like, literally after the conversation with Graham and, like, the little conversation between Yaz and Ryan, she's like, "Ooh, hey, let's go meet Mary Shelley." It was just like,
Ugh.
like, let's get away from this conversation and go here. uh,
Anyway, I think we've said all our pieces on this one, and we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah.
So my favorite scene was the Doctor and the Immortal talking, and just all the name dropping.
Yeah.
yeah.
All those little name drops. It's like, oh, give me more.
Yeah, that was that was like, this is from the man who said there's no continuity in Doctor Who just a week ago, and then proceeds to
Classic
name drop
misdirection.
several classic episodes.
Haven't we learned
Yeah.
that all Doctor Who creators are trolls?
Apparently,
Apparently.
I will admit, I didn't think I almost picked up on it at first. I was like, he's an immortal, and then I was like, oh my god, yes, the godlike entity, and
the
then it's like,
Eternals have their games. The Guardians have their conflicts.
Mm.
I see this universe as a big giant game board. The toy maker would approve. I'm like, oh my god.
yeah.
I'm like, because now they've pretty much deliberately established a connection canonically
To all of them.
between
Yeah.
the toy maker, the Guardians, and the Eternals.
Which I know Virgin and Big Finish had pretty much said they're all the same species, but this is actually happening on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they're the same species, but they're all offshoots of a very similar
Yeah.
creature.
Well, the thing is that the in Virgin they had tried to basically make all of them guardians of some kind or another.
Right.
Here they're just saying that there's basically immortals and there's different branches of immortals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Although even using immortal is kind of like, I feel almost insufficient considering the Time Lord. You know, what was the Time Lords described as? Immortal, comma, barring accidents. So yeah, the Doctor is an
I don't know
immortal.
about that. They're not beyond
they're
getting too old to die.
long lived, but they're not.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
long lived, not immortal.
I mean, I'm not sure how long a Time Lord can live, but I don't think you're going to see one that has a 6-digit age. Just saying.
Yeah, I think at
Unless
best
it's like,
you
you know,
get
someone who-
multi-hundreds for one life.
Unless he has a bunch of artifacts named after him.
That's
Rassilon
a very
doesn't
rare
count
exception, and yeah,
he
he's
died.
technically not a normal Time Lord.
And they brought him back.
He didn't die. He just took a long nap in a box. But he was still active during that time.
Rassilon is freaking Time Lord Vigo the Carpathian. He was such an asshole that his other Time Lords came and killed him. And then because he couldn't die all the way, they put him in suspended animation in a tomb. I mean, he's basically Vigo.
And then he woke up for a while every time somebody got greedy and says, "You're joining me in the tomb."
Yes. And then the Time Lords are like, oh god, we've got to fight the Daleks. Let's bring back our greatest person, forgetting he was a fucking asshole. And he came up and he became an asshole.
Curse is sudden but inevitable betrayal.
And then he faced the Doctor and reincarnated into a wuss.
Yeah.
Nobody's a bigger doctor than... well, I was going to say nobody's a bigger asshole than the Doctor, but I guess the Master takes that cake.
The Doctor's the asshole you need. The Master's the asshole that everyone wants to just hammer with a
Especially
mallet.
since it seems John Sim was the winner between that confrontation between him and Timothy Dalton. One regenerated, the other didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That was, who was a bigger asshole, Rassilon or the Master? Master wins.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the Doctor's the hero that the universe needs, but not necessarily the one it deserves. Anyway, let's go to least favorite scenes.
Yep.
Matt.
Oh, I had another least favorite. Oh yeah, my other least favorite scene. So, apparently the Doctor, don't listen to me fully on this one, has anime physics, and she can apparently shake her hips so hard she can bounce the sonic screwdriver off a wall and into her hands.
Well, you see, the reasoning behind this is the fact
Her
that
hips don't
between
lie.
adventures with Yaz, Graham, and Ryan, she traveled to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and undertook Jedi training.
Lies and deceit.
Well, she trained as Shakira's apprentice for a few years.
See, I'll buy that one a little bit better.
Little do you know that Time Lord telepathy also has telekinesis. No.
But that was severely silly. It's just like,
It was-
oh,
it
I
was-
see
it
what's
was-
happened, Doctor. The editor's
Yeah.
working with
It was
you.
that- That's why I
terrible-
wish I had time to watch the episode a second time. I would have picked up on things like that.
Oh, it was
Yeah, I
ridiculous.
watched
I
it
caught that the
twice.
first time. It's like,
Mhm.
wait,
Oh,
what?
so did I. So did I. She's sitting there with her hands bound, dangling down, and she manages to somehow do this. Now, if she had managed to perform freaking like Circus Olay style acrobatics
Mm.
to get her feet above her head,
Yeah,
so
if
that
she
it
managed
fell
to
out of
like
her pocket.
somehow use her
Although-
feet to aim the screwdriver over her head and then she broke free,
Con-
I could totally see that.
Considering
but no.
everything the third Doctor could do, it would I wouldn't mind a modern Doctor being able to pull a green arrow, dislocate your thumb to get out of the handcuffs trick.
that either. That neither
Yeah.
one of those would have
Mm.
mind.
Actually,
would
yeah,
have-
the
Something.
third Doctor trained with Houdini.
But
Yeah.
So the
instead-
Doctor
Yeah, the
definitely
third Doctor
should
trained
know
with
that.
Houdini. If she would have pulled a Houdini, I could totally have seen that.
Yeah, that I would have agreed with that. But instead, she jumps her legs up a couple times, and her screwdriver apparently just leaps out of her pocket into her hand.
Yeah, it leaps out of her pocket, bounces off the wall, which we don't even see the bounce off the wall. We just literally see it launch towards the wall, come back from the wall to into her hand directly. It's like, wait, what?
No. I get that she can shoot cricket balls with pinpoint accuracy. That is a Doctor thing. It is. It
Mhm.
is.
Oh,
happened.
it's always been a Doctor thing for a long time.
But
All the Doctors are cricket masters.
that's pinpoint aiming using your hands. You're not doing this
Mhm.
with your hips
Yeah.
and your legs. No.
Again, I've seen this
It's
physics
something
in
that's
anime.
in
I
your
don't see
pocket.
this happening in proper
Now,
Doctor Who.
if she had had the screwdriver hidden up her sleeve,
Oh, that would have been another trick too. Yeah.
but no.
It's just as she's waking up, she's like, "Oh,
It's- and
thank
it's
goodness
not
I always
even-
have an extra," and she
It's
just kind
not
of.
even in where
moves
the
her
Doctor
arms.
usually keeps the screwdriver, which is in a breast pocket. It's down in this pocket that's down in like holster range.
Yeah, basically at her hips.
Which aren't
Yeah.
those pockets of holding? Nor in most
Somet-
Doctors
most
anyway?
doc- Doctors,
but
yeah.
This is an inner coat pocket.
Was it inner
She
coat? I
has-
thought it was outer coat.
yes.
I would have to double
No,
check
it
that
was-
scene.
I'm
If
pretty
it's
sure it
inner
was
coat
in-
pocket, then there's even more issues with this scene.
It's just,
Oof.
yeah. There's this particular bit is just
Mm.
horrible, horribly contrived. That was also my least favorite, by the way.
Yeah.
So me
Yeah,
and
I'm
Randy
pretty
just
much
trounced
for,
that one.
for mine. I'm pretty much gonna have to tag on to that because I don't think I really had anything else. So I'll just say the one specific thing about that bugs me that I just thought of is, okay, so these immortals, at least this specific immortal, Zelen, has been watching the Doctor forever and knows about the sonic screwdriver, but decides, yeah, no, I'm gonna leave the Doctor with the sonic screwdriver.
The one
Like-
device that you could possibly escape with? Nah, you're never going to use it.
I mean, like, yeah, it's still kind of weird that, like, the Doctor, like, how the Doctor gets it back is a bit wonky, but even then, it's still like, why would you leave the Doctor with that?
It's either in her inner pocket or her pants pocket. I
Hmm.
actually found the scene on YouTube and I'm looking at it.
Oof. Either way, just no.
And of course, the
yeah,
big question most people I've seen have about that is, what's his name saw her use the Sonic. They should have known to take it from her.
Which is what Randy was just saying too. Yeah,
Mhm.
this guy studied her and knows exactly what she does with it, and then doesn't take it.
Yeah.
And by the way, it doesn't bounce off of anything, Matt. She just jumps up and it flies into her hand like it's freaking Star Wars.
Ugh.
Oh, I thought it, like, ricocheted off.
I swore it looked like it ricocheted off of something, but that's either way, it's terrible.
The problem is there's a camera cut in there, from the scene where it's in her pocket at her hips
Hmm.
to her head and arm shots.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally just see her move her hip, and then you see the head and arm shot with the screwdriver flying up into her hand.
Maybe she whispered Axio screwdriver.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. It's freaking Harry Potter. Yeah, Ashio move right there. Yeah.
Like I said,
no.
I've heard that anime has some crazy physics of how booties and hips work, but holy smokes.
Yeah, there's no way this can be a thing.
Nope. Not in this universe.
Same.
The scene where the immortals are defeated by the Syrian girl's nightmare monster seemed like one message is like when the immortal says, "How did you control this creature?" It's like, wait, didn't you know that already? Like, shouldn't you like be aware of like how this works? Yeah, because this was part of your plan. That the creature came from her.
You made someone's nightmare come to life. You don't think people can gain control of their nightmares to some
Maybe
degree?
no one else had overcome the yellow impurity. Oh, wait, wrong franchise.
I will smite you with my yellow ring, Bill, so help me. Actually, I wouldn't have a yellow. I'd probably end up with a red, knowing my luck.
Knowing you,
Yeah.
man, yes, you would have
Yes,
a red
you would.
ring.
Yes, you would.
Unlimited reach!
I'm not sure what color I would have. Honest
I
to
would
God.
I would have to sit down and ponder that a little bit.
Tim would be blue. I
Tim
don't
would
think that's
definitely
a
be a blue.
question.
Aw.
And I've
Am I
just caused
blue?
a tangent.
Anyway,
Yes,
Tangent Night. Hello. Anyways,
Yes.
moving on.
Moving on.
I think we're up to Bill.
Least favorite scene.
So least favorite scene. I just feel the nightmare with old what's his name? Tebow? Is that his
Yeah.
name? Yeah.
Ryan's nightmare.
Old Tebow was a little wonky. Like just I don't know if it was like
At first it seemed okay, and then it went to the monster, and I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah, it just
Well,
something about that didn't it felt weird to me.
the fact that that he's there on a burning world, yet he seems to be perfectly normally dressed.
I mean,
Well,
it is a
that
Right,
to
yeah,
me is
that-
just
that's
like
part of it.
Ryan's stuck in a hellscape in his nightmares, and that's already
Yeah,
bad
you
enough.
would-
And then
you
it
would
turns
think-
into the
you
monster
think
you've
what
seen
he would
before.
be
It's like,
wearing would be, soot covered and tattered.
not necessarily. It depends upon your depiction of a hellscape.
And again, it's not reality. So
Yeah.
it's not really
Yes, I know,
beholden
but
to-
it's your imagination
Yeah.
bringing it up. I thought that those little bits would have been added. Would have been added by mine.
I think Wes Craven would have gone the whole makeup route Rand described.
Again, my feeling is it depends upon the depiction of a hellscape that you're looking for, because I've seen plenty of people in hellscapes that don't look tattered up at all, but they're just kind of there. The reason they're not is because they're there to welcome you in.
Yeah, but this was not that kind of hellscape.
But yeah, he's kind of
it turned out not
implying
to be
that
that
he's
kind.
been
Yeah.
kind of implied that he's been living and suffering there, waiting for Ryan to come back to show up and
Yeah,
fix
and
everything.
considering the origin of the suffering was supposed to be what caused the creatures, you're looking at post-atomic Tebow, and yeah,
Oof.
so it should have been Fallout Tebow. And you don't have fresh clothing in Fallout, trust me.
No. Not unless you came out of a vault.
Hmm.
That blue's gonna get dirty fast.
Yeah, and this is obviously not Vault. No.
Nope.
Yeah. So that kind of felt wrong. I knew what they were aiming for, though.
Yeah, I get what
Yeah.
they're kind of trying to do, but yeah. Mileage may vary.
And I already mentioned the fact that the jumping screwdriver was my least favorite. And I really don't have another one, and it's a stupid enough one that I need to bring it up again.
Jumping
Or to
Jehoshaphat
quote Crichton,
and
it's such a bad thing, sir, that I feel
and
we should mention it a
Jehoshaphat's
second time.
screwdriver.
It's just, really took me out of the episode. And
Yeah,
making
that
me
was
nauseous.
really me making it audible. What the fuck?
Mhm.
I had that scene. It's just like, no, 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 no. You're linchpinning the entire end of this episode and this silly physics. Oh dear.
Mhm. Come on, the Doctor can do some great James Bond escapes.
Yeah, and they at least could have tried. Heck, all they needed to do is if Jodie Whittaker really couldn't physically do it, all they needed was someone to dress like her and like shot from behind or something with a double.
Mm.
There was some really cool ways they could have done it, but oh well.
Mhm.
Mm.
Was it really too hard to hire a stunt double that could leap up and grab a hold of the chains with their feet? No.
Not even that. Like just dangle from
I
their
don't know what's the
hands.
BBC's budget nowadays.
Apparently, the BBC's budget is under threat.
The stunt double might have had to be a volunteer.
Apparently, the BBC's budget is under threat because for like the umpteenth time, the government is thinking about cutting funding and letting them go on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Jesus.
Mm.
Well, and if that's the case, then
The
the
BBC should Brexit and become the European Union Broadcasting Corporation.
No, what I'm saying is the BBC is going to have to resort to actual commercials
Possibly.
instead of just.
That'll lead to rioting in the streets of London.
Well,
They'll
the problem
just turn
is
them
that
off their
where else
tea.
are they going to make up? Where else are they going to make up the ratings loss or the
Hmm.
budget loss?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, final thoughts, Matt.
Final thoughts. This episode was full of a lot of really good ideas. Sadly, I don't think a lot of them managed to reach the end of the episode intact. There's just a couple of flaws that need some rewriting, and maybe one or two things need to be removed for the sake of the rest of the episode to work properly. Overall, it's not like a horrible episode. It just kind of starts to become mediocre towards the end.
All right, that it.
That's pretty much my basic thoughts on it. Yeah.
All right. Thomas.
I wouldn't go so far as to say this is my favorite episode of the series thus far, but it's definitely up there. I mean, anything that can make me that can hit me in the gut emotionally, always gets like not even necessarily high marks, but that'll always get like credit where it's due from me. And like I can see why people will have problems with certain things this episode, and there are things that kind of are just like, wait, what? And in a way, maybe this probably would have been better as a two-parter, to where like maybe the first part ends when the other immortal is freed, and then like part 2 is dealing with the consequences of that. Just to leave you on like a oh fuck cliffhanger. But that said, with what we got, I'm satisfied, and yeah, like I really enjoyed this episode.
All right, Tim.
I thought this was a well above average episode with some neat set designs and special effects, barring the finger thing and the minor nitpicks. I liked how it brought Yaz more into focus and gave her more continued to flesh her out, as well as continue like the trend of not completely forgetting Ryan and Graham. Jodie Whittaker had her share of moments too, especially with when she keeps saying, "I'm talking to myself again." And
That was a
and it,
nice
like-
touch that she finally went, oh shoot, I did it again.
like, and I've never. This is the first time I've ever heard the Doctor actually say why she needs companions. When she says, "Who else am I going to tell this to?" When she.
Who's going to stand in for the audience?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I like this episode.
All right, Bill.
So this episode is actually very emblematic of the Chibnall era as a whole. It has a major theme that it's driving home. The main focus is on the characters from the modern day. And then there's the fantasy elements, which are mainly there to accentuate those former things and to provide a plot to springboard the themes off of. Uh, based just because of the way the episode emphasizes that, I think it does so fairly successfully. But with those fantasy aspects being some of the weaker parts, I can see why that would frustrate some people. I also think that 5 companions is a little too much for a single part episode. um, but yeah, I think the important parts were done pretty well. Some of the less emphasized things were done a little more poorly. It also had some nice connections both to the season plot and to Doctor Who as a larger entity, which are both things I like to see. And that's it for me.
All right. So this episode had, like people had said before, this episode had some great concepts, but I think it was a little too ambitious for itself. It tried to do too much in too little time, and something wound up having to give. And it really shows in Act 3 that they were kind of hurrying to a conclusion. Again, this is a frequent problem we've seen in Chibnall and to a lesser extent Russell T Davies eras. It's a problem that they exist, that they have to contrive a solution, and it really shows. And it really felt like both the solution to getting out of Trapped, as we mentioned, and capturing the immortals should have taken a little more than it did. Thus said, they were trying to get in a lot of character development and a lot of characters in the time, and it's again showing that 3 companions and giving equal time to each companion is something that you really have trouble doing when your episode's only 40 to 50 minutes long. And I think there might be 50 to 55. Even so, still not enough time. You could do that when you had the hour and a half that the old 4 half-hour episodes did, but not in the time slot they have now. The special effects were a little bit cheesy. The set design and the costuming were good. And the acting was its standard good self. So, really, again, the major problem seems to fall in the writing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, ratings. Matt, you are first.
It was close, but I had to round down on this one. It's rounding down to a 3.5.
Matt, giving it a 3.5. All right. Thomas.
I've been thinking about this the first time. It's gone down a bit from when I first watched it, will I say, which was considerably high. But it didn't get knocked down too much, so this is getting a 4.5 from me.
Oh, you thought it was a 5 at first?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
On first viewing, it was like a second one. I was like, taking into account other episodes in the series, I was like, probably not a 5, but yeah, still
Tim.
high enough.
I will agree with Thomas and give this a 4.
4.5? Okay.
Hey, Bill.
Ultimately, with some of the effects issues and other poorly carried out things, I do round it down, but in this case, rounding it down means a 4.0.
Not our lowballer for once. Jeez.
Ooh, my. I
I
might be
have
the
to
low
agree
one
with-
this turn.
You are the low one because I agree with Bill, and I'm going to have to give it a 4.
Well, there we have it, folks.
And that will make Bill and myself closest to correct with a 4.1 average. Matt being way off the ball, and Tim and Thomas being a
I
little
said
too
I was
crisp.
at a 4, and then they kind of
Yes.
started screwing around too much, and I'm like, nope,
We're
this is going down.
getters.
I'm gonna say nobody gave it a
Going
3 or a
down.
2.5, so nobody's
No,
way off.
I will
of,
agree that's
the
not worthy of a
average.
3.
4.1 puts it at number 130 out of 330 things reviewed. So in our top half.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's the bulk area where half the things have the same rating, right?
Yeah, it's not so much.
Ah.
It's on par with Oxygen, The Daemons, The Pilot, It Takes You Away, Closing Time, The Girl Who Died, Fires of Pompeii, Death to the Daleks, State of Decay, Under the Lake Before the Flood, Mummy on the Orient Express,
I've been hanging
and
around
Army
this area
of
a
Ghosts,
lot, actually.
Doomsday. Yeah, it's 4.2 and 4.3 that has the Army.
Ah.
It is better than Rose, Planet of the Spiders, Light at the End, Castrovalva, Invisible Enemy, etc., and is not as good as Gridlock, The Time Meddler, Bad Wolf, Parting of the Ways, Legopolis, Inferno, etc.
Yeah,
So there we
Legopolis is
go.
definitely better than this.
130 out of 330 things. That's all we have to say about Can You Hear Me?
Take it away, Bill.
All right. So please let us know what you have to say about "Can You Hear Me?" in the comments below. What scenes did you find most relatable? And do you agree that people should have stormed the BBC office demanding an apology like they did? Don't forget to like or dislike the video if you felt those things, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Twitch to keep getting our weekly episode reviews.
You know, it at least does me some good to hear that people still care enough to
Right?
storm the BBC office demanding an apology.
At
'Cause with
least,
the
at least the
ratings, you would
Brits
think-
still bloody well care.
You know, with the rating slide, you'd almost think that people wouldn't have noticed.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
All right.
next time.
So next week, we are of course continuing our coverage of Series 12, going back to the age of Lord Byron in The Haunting of the Villa Diodati. Written by Maxine Alderton and starring Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, and Mandeep Gill as Yasmin Khan. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Thanks.
Night night.
I'm tempted to end this show like
And
Bob
dump the
the
screwdriver
Bob
into
Ross. Don't see screwdriver. Good night.